hello. This is Luna ASMR, and today is going to be something a little bit different. So, we are actually going to be doing a tier list. I've gotten kind of into them recently, as in like doing them, not just watching them, because everyone knows that everyone's been doing tier lists for a while. But I've been having a lot of fun doing them myself, so I thought I would record one and just go off from there. I will say that my cat is behind me on the bed right now, so if you hear like a bell like clinking around, it's just him. It's just part of the video. With that said, we are on tiermaker.com and we have a tier list here. Now, it's not going to be the traditional like S, A, B, C, D, F, whatever, because what we're ranking are Pokemon starters. The first stage is specifically. Whether or not their entire line comes into play, who knows. But the reason why we're not doing the traditional like tiers is because, let's be real, I don't think any of these starters deserve a D or an F or even a C. I think that's just plain rude. They all deserve a spot somewhere. So instead, the tiers that we're doing are perfect. So these are just my personal favorites. I love you. I love them. A baby. And then someone's favorite, because even if it's not my favorite or it's not like a Pokemon that would be in like my particular like likes category, it's someone's favorite, and that's what matters, because there's a Pokemon for everyone and there's someone for every Pokemon. So no hate starters at all whatsoever, not a single one of them. I have a friend here. I decided to name him Cosmo. Got him today. I think he's lovely. If I had a spot for him, I would put him somewhere, but I don't, so I'm just previewing. Apparently I'm previewing, showing my new friend, who will probably lurk in the background in future videos, so who knows. Can I prop you up somewhere? Actually, that would be nice. I don't know if I can. No, you'll see Cosmo's ears down here. But with that said, we're gonna go ahead and go on to ranking these starters now. I didn't double check, but this should be every single starter all the way up to Paldea. Let me just take a quick look to make sure, and I'm pretty sure it is. I'm seeing everyone here. Please, 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 and thank you. I do see Paldea, and I do see, is this everyone? Actually, let's take one more look. I think this is everyone. Okay, and if it's not everyone, we'll just figure it out from there. But with that said, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at these guys. I'm not gonna like do anything crazy. I'm gonna try to go in gen order. It doesn't look like these are specifically in gen order, but we'll just fix it as we go. So with that said, I see generation 1. So we have Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle, the classics. This is my personal opinion. I think that Gen 1 has one of the most solid starter lineups, for the specific reason of the cohesion that trio has. Like, you look at them and they just look like they belong together. Is it because they're all like in the sort of amphibian and reptile family? Yes, that does make them look fairly similar to each other, especially in regards to the other trios. But those three just belong together. Like, they just look so solid lined up together. It's no wonder that they're the most iconic starter trio, and not just because they were the first ones. So I think they all get a lot of points just for that specifically. Whether any of these rank higher than the other is really tricky. I will say that I guess I still am. I was a pretty big Bulbasaur person. I've been slowly converted to Charmander. I'm so sorry to my Bulbasaur fans out there, but Bulbasaur is lovely. It's going and I love you, because Bulbasaur, I'm sure, is in every single person's like top 7, every person, top 6, top 5 if I even dare. But we'll put Bulbasaur and I love you. Charmander, no, I think Bulbasaur still ranks higher. The only reason why I thought Charmander was gonna go higher for me is, I'm so sorry, I love Charizard. I know that's like the most basic opinion someone could have, but it's a dragon. It's a straight up dragon. Like, there's not a single other Pokemon that does dragon better than Charizard, and I'm a big fan of dragons in general, so can't blame me. I really hope none of my takes cause anyone to click off the video, much less unsubscribe, but if you feel that strongly, then I'm sorry. But I'll put Charmander right after Bulbasaur. And then Squirtle, I'm very sorry, I've never had very strong opinions about Bulbasaur. Squirtle. I've never had the very strong opinions about Squirtle. I don't know why, I've just never really had any moments with him, so we'll put Squirtle in the tier of a baby. Next up, we have Darling Chikorita. I know there are some very passionate Chikorita fans out there, and I support that. I think that is very respectable to side with a starter, even when they are very, very, how do I say this? Not easy to play with in comparison to other starters. I don't think that's Chikorita's fault. I think that's just the fault of the game that she's in. Hopefully they give her a redemption arc in ZA. Is that how we're saying it? Pokemon Z to A? ZA? I know it's not ZA, but I love her and I respect her, but I've never had any specific attachments to her. I'm so sorry, I'm not gonna lie, I think she looks a little odd. I understand that she's like a little like bean sprout dinosaur. I think what throws me off the most are the little spikes on her. I don't know. I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry. Oh my god. I'm already regretting doing this video. I have to put her in someone's favorite. That's not to say I dislike her. That's not to say that she's not amazing and lovely. But she's not up there for me. I'm so sorry. Oh my god. I'm regretting everything already. Please don't hate me. I love her though. She's great. She's just not an I love you tier. Sorry. We have Cyndaquil. I like, from a design perspective, I really like Cyndaquil. I don't think it's very easy to make a Pokemon with closed eyes be so squishable and friend-shaped with very simple eyes like that. It's literally just a curved line, and yet Cyndaquil pulls it off really well. I think what adds to that, like, part of Cyndaquil being designed so well is the fact that his pattern follows the curvature of his closed eye, and I think that really adds a lot for him, and despite the simplicity, still makes him very interesting to look at. Something that I have seen with a lot of the starters is that what makes them seem so simple yet so recognizable and iconic at the same time is that the people who design Pokemon are very smart with the way they treat colors and patterns with the starters. I know that's not the most revolutionary thing to recognize, but when you like trace and draw each starter, it's really easy to see just how smart they are with the way they do the patterns on the Pokemon, especially like on their face. Like, you'll see with the other ones just how well they curve around their facial features, especially their eyes, and I think that's just really interesting to analyze. But this isn't really an analysis video. This is just my opinions on starters, so I won't bore you for too long. But anyway, Cyndaquil. I also haven't had a lot of moments with Cyndaquil, but I, again, do really like how he's designed, so we're gonna put him on the baby tier right after Squirtle for now. Then we'll see where he goes after we put everyone on here. The next one is Totodile. I will say Totodile is a big favorite of mine. You can see him in the background right there. I love Totodile. There's a handful of Pokemon where anytime I use them in a game, I give them the same name every time I use them, and Totodile is one of those Pokemon. In this case, every Totodile I get, I name Izu. Why Izu? I have no idea. It's just what I named my first Totodile when I was playing Heart Gold, I want to say. So every Totodile I have is named Izu. I love Totodile. I'm pretty sure it's my favorite water starter. So I'm really excited that it's going to be in the new Legends game. So we're going to put Izu, or Totodile, in perfect, because Totodile is more than a baby, just perfection. I love him very much. He's very good, very good. Yeah, I feel like I have more to say, but at the same time, I don't actually. I think my love for him is just very simple but very real. Our next one, let's see, we went through Gen 1, we went through Gen 2, okay, Gen 3, okay, listen up everyone. No notes. I know this is all opinion based, but I think this is the closest to being objectively true as it can be. Gen 3 has the most solid lineup of trios, like of the starter lines. You can argue with me on that fact. I don't mind. I would love to hear your personal feelings. But Gen 3's trio is the best one, in my humble opinion. I'm not even going to be sorry for that. I think it's just... Do they have the most cohesion like Gen 1 does? No. But each one of them is so incredibly, like, well designed. Not to say that the other starters aren't well designed, but it's something about the fact that they really don't have to do too much. They're all very different from one another in a good way. I know I kept talking about cohesion earlier, but this is one of those times where I really wish I could put to words why they're such a good trio, and I'm having trouble, and I'm sad that I'm having so much trouble. But they're just really good trio in their first stages, even in their final stages. They're just a good trio. They're just solid. With that said, we have Trico, and I love Trico. Not as much as I love Torchic and Mudkip, but Trico is very nice. I love his sassiness that he can have in many different types of media. I love that he T-poses in his main drawing, and I think it's funny. Torchic. The fact that, if that isn't reason enough that I have Torchic on my shelf, Torchic was my first starter, so my first Pokemon ever, and I think that explains everything as to why I'm putting Torchic in perfect. But not just because of my own personal bias and feelings and emotions about the starling little chicken, but the fact that here's the thing. Torchic only really has 2 colors. You can say Torchic has 3 colors because the shading on the eyes makes it look like that she has blue eyes, which adds to the design, but she essentially has 2 colors. Are you kidding me? How many Pokemon can pull off 2 colors? They're not even variations of different colors. I know the legs are technically different color. I don't care. I'm talking about, because here's the thing, most starters, most Pokemon in general are only rocking with like 3 colors or 4, and like 1 to 2 of those are accent colors. Torchic is ultimately made up of orange and yellow, and she still looks good. the fact that she is portraying a flame pattern without actually having flames on her, I think is really impressive. It's simple. It gets the message across that this is a fire chicken without doing too much. I think that's really impressive. Torchic also has a very simple face, but it's a very well done face. Very cute. Just enough simplicity to stand out without doing too much. It's very well designed, very simple, very good. She gets the job done. So that's my rant on Torchic. She's very good, I love her. Barely even has a mouth, and yet she's just rocking it. Mudkip. So I'm really curious if I still would have chosen Torchic, because I might have chosen Mudkip. Here's the thing. I got into Pokemon because of Jaden Animation's first Nuzlocke video. That's right. I'm a relatively new fan in comparison to other people, but she's the one that got me started on getting into Pokemon. Thank you, Jaden Animations. I love you. And she chose Torchic, and I was like, I want to do a run just like Jaden's. So I also chose Torchic, and I also got a Breloom along the way, but I got Torchic because of her. Named her Tequila. Don't know why. I do know why. That's a story for another time. But Mudkip is also incredibly well designed. I'm having trouble putting it into words. I do like that Mudkip has like two different shape elements to him, with the face spikies and the fins. I think that's really nice, and what adds to how iconically shaped Mudkip is. With that said, Mudkip is going to go oh gosh, I don't know if I should put Mudkip at the top of a baby or at the below of I love you. I think purely for design reasons, I'm gonna put Mudkip at the bottom of I love you. I think that's pretty good. That was all of Gen 3, right? Let's make sure. Trico. Yes, okay. Gen 4. Here's the thing. I think Gen 4 is tied for second place of best trios with Gen 1, but for very different reasons in comparison to Gen 1. Gen 1's trio is really good because they're cohesive, they're well designed, and they get it done well. Gen 4 is a really good trio because even though they don't necessarily stand out as a team, as a singular unit, all of them do really well individually, is my take. Turtwig, are you kidding me? That's a turtle with a plant growing on its head. I don't think you could do any better than that in terms of turtle Pokemon, or just turtles in general. Tortoise, turtle, whatever. I'm offending people as I speak. And it's called Turtwig though, as in Turt, whatever. Turtwig is very well designed. I actually loved Turtwig even before I got into Pokemon because he's so cute. Like, I think objectively Turtwig is one of the cutest starters, so he definitely gets points for that. I respect Turtwig for looking so good in green, yellow, and brown. That is a very hard color palette to pull off, and yet he does it. With that said, I think Turtwig is gonna go in I love you, but the question is where. Oh my god, he looks so cute. Another thing is that Turtwig's head shape is unique, but very interesting to look at. Fun to draw, I will say. Oh man. Oh man. Oh man. I think Turtwig is at the top of my I love you tier. I actually didn't expect that. Wow. He's really cute. No notes. Next is Chimchar. Chimchar, for a fire monkey, still really cute, which I think is impressive. I think any other design would have trouble making a fire chimp look cute. He he does look like he's scratching his butt in his drawing, but that's okay. I think having a chimp or monkey starter in general was a bit of a risk, but they still did well. I do really like how Chimchar's little like head flame is the same shape as his tail flame. It does look like they might have had like a couple of tries of where his like flame pattern would come in. Having it be his tail is a little bit of an interesting choice, but it's still good. He's not my favorite, but he is cute, especially for being a fire chimp. Seems like a pretty hard design to pull off, especially for a starter Pokemon. Starter Pokemon get a lot of pressure for looking cute and simple and iconic and recognizable. But he still does a good job. I will put Chimchar in someone's favorites. I don't think too many people are going to argue with me on that, but I still love him for what he is. I think it's still pretty good. Piplup. Here's my thing with Piplup. I didn't have a lot of opinions on Piplup until someone described him as looking like a lost child, and suddenly I fell in love. I also really like that Piplup's final stage Empoleon turns into a water steel Pokemon. That's a really good type combo, and I'm just a fiend for steel types, so there's that too. Steel is actually my favorite type. I think Piplup is gonna go in I love you tier. But where? Maybe right after Turtwig, I think that is where Piplup will go. Yeah. Yeah, we'll do that. Next up, we are now approaching Gen 5. Gen 5, okay, this is where it starts to get not murky, but like there's a little more, it's a little bit more up in the air in regards to their popularity. I think obviously Gen 1 is incredibly iconic, they were the first. Gen 3 is just solid all around, no notes. Gen 4 has good designs, and Gen 2 is pretty iconic because it comes second. Gen 5 is where it gets a little bit trickier. I know there's some more not more controversial, just not as unanimously loved in comparison to the other gens, but that's okay, they're still good. They don't have the greatest cohesion, in my opinion. But yeah, let's see. I do, Snivy is, that sounded rude, I'm sorry. I really like Snivy's tail. I think that, that shape for conveying the grass typing is a really good choice. I guess the trickiest part of it is like looking at Snivy and immediately questioning like, what is it? What kind of animal is that? Not to say that like you have to recognize the animal that a starter is, that's not necessarily a requirement, but in comparison to other starters, you start to like, especially if you're not familiar with Pokemon, you might like narrow your eyes a little bit more, like what exactly is that? Is that a lizard? Is it a snake with arms? Who knows? But I think Snivy still has really good cohesion with itself, as in its shape language. The shapes of its design work well with each other. Snivy. I don't have the greatest, no, greatest, that's bad. I don't have the strongest attachment to Snivy in general. I have used Superior in like Pokemon Showdown. I love the ability Contrary, I will say that, but Snivy in general is someone's favorite. Very close to the baby tier, but someone's favorite. I'll put Snivy at the top of someone's favorite. Sorry, Snivy fans. To pick, here's my thing. here's my thing. I know Embor is a topic, being another firefighting type, being the fact that it's not the most majestic, the cutest, the most like its looks aren't exactly up there for a lot of people. I think Tepig itself is really cute. I think Tepig is adorable. I do have a bit of a problem with the fact that it looks like it's wearing a diaper. I'm not the most fond of its patterning here. I'm sure they have good reason for how they did the patterns here. I just don't think it's as solid as the other Pokemon. But Tepig itself is still really, really, really cute. Don't get me wrong. I love its tail. I love its springy little tail. I love his smile. His smile is everything. You need to protect that smile. I love his smile. Tepig itself, I do love him. I will put Tepig on the baby tier. Here's my thing. I actually think Tepig is really cute. So he's gonna go at the top of a baby tier. That's gonna be a controversial take, I know for sure. It's okay. No apologies will be given at this time. I will stick by that. Tepig is super cute. I also think fire starters are just really nice overall. I don't know if they're the type that I choose most of the time. I think for me it's pretty well balanced. Technically, according to my personality quiz video on the types, I'd be grass, but the fire starters in general just have a really special place in my heart. I think also because every time a Pokemon game does come out, I always choose the red one. Because you know how the different, like, the versions for the Pokemon games, there's like overall like a red one and a blue one. I always go for the red one. Ruby, Heart Gold, Scarlet, etc. I always go for the red one. I also just like red more than blue. Sorry, not sorry. Oshawott. Oshawott's cute. I have no attachments to him whatsoever. Unfortunately, he's really cute, and I have all the love in my heart for Oshawott fans out there, because I mean, this goes for every starter. They all deserve their fans and deserve more even, and I think that especially goes for Oshawott. I think he's often overlooked, and I'm unfortunately one of those people because he's going in someone's favorite right here. But Oshawott does have a really cute face. I will give him that. Next up, we are going into Gen 6. Again, fairly not controversial, just not as unanimously loved as the other trios. I think what really gets me here is the fact that I forgot this man's name, and I'm so very sorry. I think it's Chespin, though. I know I'm a fake fan, that I can't recognize every Pokemon in the blink of an eye, but the fact that he's the first one, probably the only one here who I don't remember the name of, is a telltale sign. Here's the thing. That is a winning smile. That is an award-winning smile. Chespin has a lovely smile. I also like the patterning of his face. I think the patterning of his face is really smart, because it's like in the shape of an X, and the foliage of his leaf hat, for whatever, I don't even know what that is, it all points to his face, and I think that's a really smart design choice for him. I will say it does take away from his body, so your eyes are just looking at his face. A lot of his design is concentrated specifically there. It's not nearly as well balanced as other designs, but there's still some really good aspects to it. The reason why I'm analyzing his design so much is because I have no emotional attachment to him. So with that said, he's going in someone's favorite. That's okay. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. He's going here for now. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm very sorry. I actually am. I'm sorry. But he's someone's favorite. He's not in D. He's not in F. That's not that kind of video. He's not even in C. He's just someone's favorite. Not mine, but someone's favorite. And he deserves all the love in the world, just like everyone here. here we go. Here we go. We have Fennekin. I think Fennekin is cute. Do I think there's as much intention behind Fennekin's design as some of the other starters? Maybe not, but that it's designing starters is hard. I'm not even saying that as like a general like Pokemon enjoyer. If you've gone through my community post, I have my own trio of starters that I'm still struggling to design, because when you really dig deep into it, there's a lot of pressure in trying to design starter Pokemon, because like I said earlier, you have to make sure that they look like a friend, that they're simple, that they're cute, but they still look iconic, and that someone is going to choose them for sure, and that they represent their typing, and that they don't look like any other Pokemon. Like that's a long criteria list. But with that said, it's inevitable that not every design is going to be on the same level. I feel like I'm being really mean right now. Fennekin is still cute and represents its type really well, don't get me wrong. I just don't think it's as intentional as the other starters. But it's still good. It is someone's favorite though. And Fennekin is gonna go. Okay, don't kill me. You're gonna kill me. Some of you guys are gonna kill me. I'm only putting Fennekin here because I think I can't even remember his name. Chespin. I think it's Chespin. I'm gonna cry if it's not Chespin. Chespin's design just has more going for it, in my humble opinion. And every time I look at Fennekin, I think it looks like a paintbrush in like 3 different places. Now we have undoubtedly the most popular starter in this lineup. Like, let's not lie. Greninja is a very well-known Pokemon. Like, overall, like out of the over 1,000 Pokemon that there are, Greninja is like high up there, and I think for good reason. Froakie's final stage is very well designed. I will give it that. It does its job very well. Are you kidding me? A water frog ninja, you cannot execute that idea, that concept any better than Greninja. With that said, we are needing to focus more on Froakie himself. I like Froakie's design a lot. I think his bubbles thing going on is a really unique way to convey the water typing that no other starter and most other water Pokemon don't have, is utilizing that like bubble-like pattern, bubble-like shape, I mean. And I think it gets a lot of points for that. I don't know what it is exactly, if it's like a scarf or if it's its skin. I don't know what that would be if you were to like realistically render Froakie. But from the viewpoint of being a most of the time 2D design in an animated world, I think it's still really good. Froakie, here's the thing. Please don't hate me. I have not played a single Gen 6 game. I would love to if I can get my grubby little hands on one, but I haven't played any of the Gen 6 games. I will as soon as I obtain a copy of my own, so I don't have an emotional attachment to any of these guys. But Froakie, again, very well designed. It is a frog. Frogs are always good. I'm going to put Froakie, again, no emotional attachment, please don't hate me. Froakie's gonna go in someone's favorite, but at the in between Snivy and Chikorita. Again, very nice design, and it's also a frog, but I have no attachment to him whatsoever. Here's the thing, okay, we have Rowlet. I don't think anyone is going to twist my arm if I say that Rowlet is essentially the peak of not just starter designs, but Pokemon designs. something about designing, I guess, like characters, is that they need a iconic silhouette. Like when you look at something, you know it's designed well, at least shape wise. If you were to look at a silhouette of it and say, oh, I recognize who that is, that's this. That little tidbit has helped me so much in my own designs. Despite everything, Rowlet is a literal circle, yet he defies that part of design. Rowlet doesn't need an iconic silhouette. Technically, you can still identify him because of his feet. He's an orb, and he's perfection. Perfection. I don't know where in perfect Rowlet goes. I don't know, I'll organize my perfects here later, but Rowlet has got to be in every single person's like top 4 or 3. I'm just saying it. Look at those eyes. There's not a single thought behind those eyes. I love him so much. I have Rowlet in the other corner of my room, and I love him. I haven't even played any of the Gen 6 games. Sorry, Gen 7 games. I've never used a Rowlet. I don't need to. I love him. He's perfect. He's round. Next starter. Here we go. Litten, I think the patterning is very smart. They did a really good job figuring out how to do like the stripes of like what is going to be a tiger without overdoing it. It's really easy, at least in my opinion, it's really easy to overdo it with striping on a Pokemon, much less a starter Pokemon, because it's easy to do too many stripes or too thick of stripes or too thin of stripes, and then you just get lost in the design. But they had just enough stripes and connected them in the right places to where it's not overwhelming, but it still conveys the fact that this is going to turn into a tiger, and that is incredibly respectable. I can only imagine the amount of times someone had to redraw the stripes on Litten specifically to get it perfectly right, and I think that is something to note. On the other hand, I'm so sorry. I feel like people were wanting like a cat starter for the longest time, and the fact that they finally did get like a cat starter, it's a little bit underwhelming. I'm so sorry. It's a little bit underwhelming as being the first like Pokemon cat starter. It's still really good, but still really good. But I say this as if I could do better. I can't. I'm not saying I'm like some god at like designing. I'm not saying I like work for Game Freak or anything. Like this is like a very humble opinion from someone who like has no say in how good a Pokemon design is. I don't even have a degree in design. I switched to education like a semester into design, but that's just my opinion on Litten. And I hate saying underwhelming because again, none of these should be called underwhelming, but that's like the only word that I can think of right now. Litten is definitely someone's favorite, but in between Snivy and Froakie. Still, I do like how delicate Litten's paws are. I think, oh, here's the thing. I think what also throws me off about Litten is that Litten could not very easily, but Litten could potentially pass for not being a starter Pokemon for the reasoning that its head to body proportions are very different from most of the Pokemon, because its body in comparison to others is like a bit bigger and lankier. a lot of starters have that like round, big head sort of like proportion shape stuff happening with them. There's lots of exceptions, don't get me wrong, there's tons of exceptions, but for some reason Litten's stands out to me as not fitting those same shapes and proportions as a lot of the starters do. I don't know if that is the most accurate like take, but that's what I'm going with. Okay, we're at the end of our Gen 7 starters here. Now we have Poplio. I almost called him Popipo. Here's my thing. I think Poplio's line is overhated. I think too many people hate on Poplio, on Primarina, on Primarina. I do understand where people are coming from when a starter is overly masculine or feminine, but at the same time, it doesn't really matter. Like, it doesn't really matter. Don't get me wrong, I too am a fan of starters just being monsters rather than being overly well, technically personified is the term. Like, having too many human attributes and like making a Pokemon look not overly, making them look more masculine or feminine looking, I suppose, can take away from that monster aspect and lean a bit too much into human. But I still think Primarina gets too much hate for having feminine attributes, and Poplio for some reason gets roped into that. I think Poplio is a darling, adorable little guy. I love that Poplio has a big round nose. Very cute. Poplio has an award-winning smile. They all do, but something about Poplio's is just so joyful and innocent, and I hate that people don't like him. Poplio's wonderful, and I've never played him, but he's so stinking cute. He's so cute. Like, the more I look at him, the more I fall in love with him. Poplio is a baby. Poplio is a baby. Poplio's gonna go. You know what? Poplio's gonna go right under Tepig. I don't even care. Poplio is a stinking cute. That's my opinion. So deal with it. Next up, we have Grookey. Grookey is, I think, also very well designed. I personally think that Grookey is... No, I don't want to say it like that. I like Grookey more than Chimchar. It might be because of his, like, the shapes, like the way that they used shapes for him. I like that Grookey actually has a tail. I understand that Chimchar's tail is fire because it's a fire starter, but monkey tails are really cute, and I hate that they took that away. I also think that the way that they convey Grookey as a grass type is very well done. It's not over the top or anything. Like, you can still tell that he is a grass type, and they don't have to do too much to do that. Grookey also has a color palette that would make you think doesn't look good, but it looks good for him. Like, if you break it down, Grookey's color palette isn't like the most appealing because it's like a lime, like it's like a yellow green with more green and brown and orange, and that orange is like a terracotta orange, and yet it still works really well. And I imagine that applying that like terracotta orange in the right places with enough, or like with the right amount, was tricky, and I respect that. Anyway, Grookey is very nicely designed. I'm gonna put Grookey on the baby tier between Cyndaquil and Treecko. Just pretty well designed. Okay, so Sobble Sobble had to grow on me. Like, hold on, let's put Scorbunny over here so everyone's with their correct gens. Sobble really grew on me. Like, when I first saw Sobble, I was like, what is that thing? What is this? You're serving this to me on a silver platter and you're giving me a circle. What is it? But like, the more I saw Sobble, the more I got attached, and the more I was like, this thing is a baby. I love that he cries. He's a little crybaby. Like, why are you crying? Why are you so sad? I love you. Let me cradle you in my arms. Let me take care of you. If Sobble's final evolution turned out differently, I would have chosen Sobble in Shield and just like that, like in a heartbeat. I would have chosen Sobble. Technically, I don't actually use any of the starters in my in Shield, just because I won't lie, I'm not the biggest fan of any of the final evolutions for the starters in Gen 8, and at the same time, there's so many Galar Pokemon that I really love, so I don't actually have a starter on my team in that game. But Sobble itself, like, solely Sobble, it's literally named Sobble because it sobs. That's so sad. I love him. Sobble's a baby. An incredible, sad little baby. And Sobble's gonna go at the top of the baby tier. I'm also a big fan of whenever they use the blue-yellow palette. Like, they shouldn't use the same color palette too often, but blue and yellow is really good. Despite that, Scorbunny, okay, here's my thing. I don't think the passion I have against Cinderace should affect Scorbunny himself, because here's the thing. Scorbunny is pretty well designed. I love that Scorbunny, like, its ears look like it's tied together, and it looks like there's like a band-aid on his face because he's a little soccer player. He's on like the junior league and he's kicking up a storm. No one can stop him. He's the fastest one ever out of all those little guys. Unstoppable little man. Very well designed. That's a really good bunny starter. I do hope they have another bunny starter in the future. I don't think they have enough bunnies. Scorbunny himself, I love him. I like it a lot. With that said, no. I don't think final evos should affect the starter line itself too much, because I actually really like Scorbunny and I really like his second stage. Hold on, let me put Scorbunny first and let me go on my little rant about Cinderace. Scorbunny can go. Really good design, but I don't feel all that strongly about him. Scorbunny can go. Scorbunny can go right before Snivy. Here's my thing. Okay. No other starter Pokemon stage final Evo offends me more than Cinderace. If you're a fan of Cinderace, I'm sorry, but there's very few starter Pokemon that I say about this. I don't like Cinderace's design. You heard me. I know I've been really apologetic about a lot of my takes on this video. I don't like Cinderace's design. I don't like it. And here's why. First of all, I don't know if it's just the way that they modeled him, but his arms do not look proportional to the rest of his body. They look puffy and short and way too round in comparison with all of the other shapes of his body. Why do his arms look like that? I understand he's a soccer player, but that doesn't mean he can't use his hands or his arms at all. Second thing, they had an incredible opportunity to give him rabbit legs. That's a rabbit playing soccer, and you give him weird humanoid puffy legs. You could have given him rabbit legs, yet they didn't. They made his knees bend the wrong way. Why would you do that? Third reason, he looks way too humanoid. I'm sorry, I know I was talking about how that shouldn't matter too much. But for Cinderace, it does. Why does he look like that? Why does he just look like a man in a mascot, like unicorn, in a mascot uniform costume thing? Why does he just look like a mascot? Like, he doesn't even have the proportion of a mascot. Like, a mascot has better Pokemon proportions than Cinderace does. Why is Cinderace just a man with bunny ears? He doesn't even have rabbit legs, he just has bunny ears. That's a man. Another thing, I don't like his face. I don't like his face. I don't like his stupid little smirk. I'm getting way too passionate about this. I'm probably getting too loud too. I'm sorry. But I just really don't like Cinderace's design. They could have done so much better with him. I don't like that he looks like a shirtless bunny man. I think they could have been smarter with the way that they had like his fur patterns and like the puffs of like where his fur puffs out. It just looks like a shirtless bunny man playing soccer. Who put him there? Who decided to put him on the soccer team? Give him a shirt. Or just remove the pants and make him look less humanoid. I don't like Cinderace, and I will stand by that take. I don't care. Anyway, rant over. That's probably one of my most passionate Pokemon opinions, or Pokemon related opinions, is Cinderace. Let the record show I don't like Cinderace. With that said, we have finally the Paldean trio. Here's my thing. I keep saying that way too much. I think... Oh, my cat's here. Oh no. Oh god. No. What are you doing? Please don't get on the desk. Oh no. Going into commercial break. Oh my god. I think the Paldean trio, at least the first stages, are the best in a long time. Like, when I first saw them, I thought, man, like Game Freak really hit it out of the park with this one. They strangely have good cohesion. Oh my god. My cat's in a really poor position right now. I might have to end this soon. I'm gonna go a little bit faster. There's something about them. I don't know why. It might be because they all have like really similar like proportions to each other. But the Paldean trio, they look really good together. Oh, thank you. My cat just gave me a lick. Each and every one of them are also solidly designed. Like, there's not... I don't think all of the trios are as like well balanced in like design quality as they could be. The Paldean trio, god, they look so good. Like, some people might disagree with me on that, but I don't care. I love them. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, you might hear him right now. Quaxley, lovely. I don't think... Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. Okay, see, this is why I advertise myself as a low quality ASMR channel, because there's stuff like this. Quaxley, like, you could not have created a better duck starter. He looks gorgeous. His face is lovely. Whenever they like introduce the starters, and Quaxley like hair flips with his little... Oh my god, with his little blue thing. Iconic. Incredible. I love him. So much attitude in a little body. I love that they made his feet, his flippers so like large. Everything about him is large, and I love that. Like, I imagine when he walks on the ground, just like really loud, like blap 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 blap, and I think that's incredible. I love his design too much to put him in not someone's favorite. His design is glorious. I'm gonna put Quaxley above Sobble. That's just a good duck. Next up we have Sprigatito. Oh yeah, I also love all of their names. names. Are you kidding me? Like, way to break the mold with such unique and well thought out names with this trio. Sprigatito, I understand he's very memed. He's like the weed cat, whatever. Sprigatito is like the cat Pokemon, like the cat starter that I think I was looking for when it came to Litten. No shade to Litten. Again, Litten is still pretty well designed, but Sprigatito, I think its proportions, its cat mouth is very cute. I like the way they shaped Sprigatito. The patterning is also surprisingly smart. Its tail looks so fluffy, incredibly fluffy, and I love that. I think a Pokemon with a solid tail gives it a lot of points. Sprigatito's proportions are very nice. Its shapes are a bit more complicated in comparison to other starters. I don't think it takes away from it necessarily, more of just like Pokemon with a more simple style or a simpler design earn extra points for being simple yet still very recognizable. But once again, still very well designed. I'm gonna put Sprigatito. It does have a very baby face, but I also don't have strong opinions, like strong emotional connections, Sprigatito. So Sprigatito will go before Grookey. Hold on. I'm sorry, I think I'm gonna put Grookey here. Sorry, Squirtle. Last up is Fuecoco. As you can see, I have a Fuecoco in the background of my video. When I first saw Fuecoco, I knew he was the one. I saw his face and I knew that he was going to be mine. Fuecoco, he just has a good vibe to him. I don't think he's the best design starter by any means. Like, when you look at him, he's a little dorky. That's what I love about him, though. I am confused about his little yellow patch on his belly. I'm not sure why that's there or the intention of it. It looks like someone slapped a piece of like Kraft cheese on him. I don't know why that square is there, but nonetheless, his face is glorious. I will put Fuecoco on the perfect tier. He is gonna go in the bottom, just because the three others I like just more in general. This is my list for now. I'm a little bit surprised at how it turned out. I just want to see if I need to reorganize my perfect tier. I will say that as much as I love Totodile, I haven't used Rowlet at all, though. Totodile will forever be my bitey boy. I do say Torchic has to be at the top for multiple reasons. I feel very passionately about the way Torchic is designed, how well designed Torchic is. Torchic was my first ever Pokemon. That definitely gives it a lot of points. It's also just really good. Like, it fulfills the criteria for starter really well. I may also... No, I'm gonna keep Rowlet there. Like, I thought about it because Rowlet just has a very, very good design, but I have too much emotional connection to Totodile to put Rowlet above Totodile, and I think that's valid. And I will keep Fuecoco where he is, not just because that I think Rowlet is more intentionally designed, but I won't lie, I actually didn't use Skeledirge in the DLC. I switched to other Pokemon, and I actually got more attached to the other Pokemon on my team. I think because his vibe just changed so much, because he went from this cute apple bitey baby to a very serious looking Pokemon, where its design and vibe were just very different from how it started. But yeah, this is my tier list for the starter Pokemon. I hope I didn't offend anyone too much. These are all just my personal opinion, but if you have different takes, let me know. And with that, I think it's time to say goodnight. So,